Witness this self-entitled Tyrant Karen, maliciously dousing a service dog's face with chemicals. Then see her life unravel completely when she discovers she's committed a federal offense on video. Surveillance footage captures a middle-aged woman in high-end athletic wear aggressively spraying a substance at a German Shepherd donning a service vest. The dog's sharp cry of agony is unmistakable. Watch him frantically claw at his stinging eyes. That's the sound of a war hero's loyal companion being tormented by someone who values HOA regulations over federal law. Karen Whitmore had no clue her actions carried penalties equivalent to assaulting a federal agent, a $50,000 fine, 6 months in jail, and a felony conviction that would ruin her cherished real estate career. What infuriates me most is that this Purple Heart veteran had been trying to resolve this peacefully for months. Karen should have backed off. Instead, she gave him the ultimate weapon to dismantle her world. What would you have done the instant she brandished that spray bottle? Share your raw thoughts below. I read every comment. Quick question before we dive deeper, where are you tuning in from? These justice tales hit differently depending on your corner of the globe. Meet Jake Thornfield, 34, a former Army medic, Purple Heart honoree, and the kind of person who'd give you his last dollar if you were in need. 3 years back, Jake was extracting shrapnel from soldiers in Afghanistan when an IED explosion altered his life forever. He lost some hearing in his left ear, developed crippling PTSD, and returned to a marriage that couldn't withstand the war's toll. After his divorce, Jake relocated to Pinewood Heights, a serene suburban Colorado HOA community where the biggest issue was once a misplaced trash bin. With 200 homes and 45 monthly fees, it's a blend of young families and retirees, place where neighbors exchange friendly waves. Ideal for someone rebuilding their life. Jake wasn't alone, though. Meet Rex, a 4-year-old 85-pound German Shepherd, trained to manage PTSD episodes and alert for sounds Jake can't hear. When Jake's anxiety surges, Rex provides calming pressure. When someone nears Jake's deaf side, Rex acts as a shield. The soft clink of Rex's tags on sidewalks became the rhythm of Jake's recovery. All was calm until the HOA board election 6 months ago. That's when Karen Whitmore decided Pinewood Heights needed her iron-fisted version of community order. Karen, 52, a 15-year real estate veteran, cruises in a white Mercedes SUV with the vanity plate, P-Art Veil, thinking it's witty. Elected HOA vice president on a promise to safeguard property values, she really sought power to make everyone miserable. Obsessed with TikTok videos about service animal scams, Karen fancied herself a disability investigator. She'd patrol in her SUV, stopwatch in hand to time sprinklers, ruler ready to measure lawns. The glint of her windshield in the morning sun warned neighbors of her rounds. Then came Jake's first violation notice, delivered via certified mail on official OA letterhead. It declared Rex an unauthorized pet, violating the community's 25-pound pet limit, with a $500 fine plus $550 daily until removed. Jake responded with calm professionalism, submitting ADA paperwork, vet certifications, and Rex's training records. Everything a rational person would need. The scent of fresh grass and sprinkler mist should have been the only concern on those quiet morning strolls. Karen's reply: documents can be forged. I can spot a fake service dog, and that's just a pricey pet. Jake realized this wasn't mere ignorance. It was deliberate bias cloaked in HOA authority. Karen began snapping photos of Jake and Rex on their walks, fueling neighborhood rumors about a guy exploiting the system. She posted in the community's Facebook group about a supposed nationwide service animal fraud crisis. Jake tried one last diplomatic move, inviting Karen for coffee to explain his needs and demonstrate Rex's trained responses. The feel of Rex's coarse fur during anxiety spikes should have proven this was a working partnership, not a pet. Karen's retort: I don't buy invisible disabilities. Real disabilities are obvious to everyone. Jake knew then this would turn ugly. Karen wasn't done playing HOA sleuth. 2 weeks after the failed coffee meeting, Jake got another certified letter, summoning him to an emergency HOA board meeting to address his persistent pet policy violation. Karen arrived armed with 17 pages of internet printouts on service animal fraud penalties, strutting into the community center like a Supreme Court litigator. Her color, coded folders and dramatic reading glasses, paired with the stench of overbrewed coffee and her vanilla perfume, made the room tense. If you're truly disabled, she declared to the 5-member board, prove it publicly with full military medical records, psych evaluations, and doctor's notes. The community deserves to verify your claims. Here's where Karen made her first fatal error. Jake, having studied disability rights post-injury, knew her demands were illegal, thanks to a VA social worker's warning. Demanding medical records from a disabled tenant is as unlawful as asking to see someone's bank balance before a grocery purchase. Jake arrived with his own folder, appearing cooperative but packing a surprise the law itself. "Actually, Karen," he said, voice steady as stone, "your demands violate federal housing law. Under the ADA, you can't request medical records, special ID for service animals, or proof of disability. The only legal questions are, is this a service animal needed for a disability, and what tasks is it trained to perform?" The frantic clicking of Karen's acrylic nails on her clipboard filled the stunned silence as she grappled with her legal misstep. But entitled people don't retreat when faced with facts. They escalate. "You're hiding behind loopholes," Karen snapped. "I propose a new HOA rule requiring all service animals to pass a community test, with neighbors voting on their legitimacy." Board member Gladys Rivera, a retired teacher, squirmed. "Karen, I don't think that's legal," she began, but Karen cut her off, her voice hitting a pitch that unnerved dogs and kids alike. Rail service dogs wouldn't need protection from fair community standards. Young mom Ashley Cameron spoke up from the back, noting how Rex's calm presence helped her autistic son during transitions. But Karen's allies, Bob Harris, a retired cop, Martha Stevens, a PTA leader, and Dale Morrison, a business owner worried about property values, backed her. Jake's palms sweated as he gripped his chair, not from fear but from restrained anger. He requested a 30-day delay to gather more documents, knowing he owed nothing. He just wanted to gauge the depth of Karen's prejudice. During those 30 days, Jake uncovered Karen's pattern. She'd previously targeted an elderly resident with an oxygen tank, calling it unsightly, and harassed a family with a mobility scooter over their ramp. Jake was just the latest in her campaign to purge undesirable residents to boost property values. Karen didn't realize she'd given a Purple Heart veteran the tools to dismantle her empire. Her 30-day deadline arrived like a gift for chaos lovers. Karen spent those weeks on a community awareness campaign, aka making Jake's life hell. Anonymous flyers appeared in mailboxes titled, "Service Dog Fraud," "What Homeowners Must Know," and "Is Your Neighbor Scamming You?" Printed on official-looking letterhead with stock photos of aggressive dogs and fake stats. They screamed Karen's Kinko's obsession. She then launched a petition drive, stationed at the mailboxes every evening, clipboard in hand, preaching about clarifying pet policies for safety and property values. Her masterpiece, though, was her surveillance operation. Karen trailed Jake and Rex with her phone, narrating like a warped wildlife host. Day 12 of observing the alleged service animal. Subject exhibits normal pet behavior, sniffing, marking. No disability assistance detected. The crunch of her designer sneakers on gravel became the soundtrack of their walks. Jake's jaw tightened at the sound, but his military training kicked in. Don't react emotionally. Document. Prepare. Wait for the enemy's mistake. Jake began his own evidence collection. Every email from Karen was saved. Every social media post archived. Every encounter recorded. He installed security cameras, anticipating escalation. He also contacted Maria Santos, a paralegal 3 streets over who'd been watching Karen through the neighborhood grapevine. Over coffee, Maria dropped a bombshell. "Jake, you're not her first target," she said, spreading out her own folder. She went after Mrs. Patterson's oxygen tank, claiming it was a fire hazard, and the Camerons for their son's meltdowns. 3 families sold below market to escape her. Jake realized Karen wasn't just a petty HOA bully. She was running a gentrification scheme, targeting vulnerable residents to force them out. Her brother-in-law, Rick, an unqualified property management consultant, was hired by the HOA, showing up daily to measure Jake's grass, time sprinklers, and photograph Rex's bathroom habits. The crunch of Rick's boots on Jake's driveway became psychological warfare. But Jake's cameras caught every move, building a federal case one petty violation at a time. Community pressure mounted. Karen's allies avoided Jake at the mailboxes. An anonymous note on his car read, "Faker." Rex grew anxious from the constant stalking, showing stress behaviors that broke Jake's heart, panting in cool weather, avoiding walks. Jake's PTSD worsened, but he channeled it into research, discovering Karen's real estate license had 2 prior disability discrimination complaints, one involving a veteran with a service dog. Targeting disabled veterans wasn't just wrong. It was a federal crime with life-altering consequences. 3 months into Karen's campaign, she made the mistake that would end her. During Jake and Rex's evening walk, with the sun setting behind suburban homes, Karen emerged from her pristine hedge, wielding a spray bottle reeking of ammonia and vinegar. "Your dog ruined my roses," she lied, though they were on the public sidewalk. "This pet deterrent will teach him to respect property." She aimed directly at Rex's face. Not a warning spray, but a deliberate attack on a federal service animal's eyes and nose. Jake's PTSD surged at the aggressive move and chemical stench, but his training held firm. "Stay calm, let the enemy self-destruct." "Karen," he said quietly, hitting record on his phone. You just committed a federal crime on camera. Rex drooled excessively, pawing at his burning eyes. Jake's hands shook with rage, not fear, watching his partner suffer. Karen, predictably, denied everything. It's just natural ingredients, she claimed, hiding the bottle. Ammonia and vinegar are harmless. Jake called Maria on speakerphone. Karen just sprayed chemicals in Rex's face, claiming it's harmless, he said. Maria's voice was ice. Karen, ammonia and vinegar form chloramine gas. You just burned a federal service animal. That's an ADA felony. Karen's face paled as federal and felony hit her. She tried blaming Jake, but his cameras showed Rex calmly on the sidewalk, non-aggressive. Jake called 911 and Officer Martinez arrived, noting Rex's distress and the lingering chemical smell. Mom, interfering with a service animal is a federal offense, he said. Up to $50,000 and 6 months in jail. Karen's meltdown was classic, demanding the officer's supervisor, accusing Jake of a setup. Her ally Bob Riss walked away silently. Neighbors, including Ashley Cameron, recorded the incident, confirming Jake and Rex stayed on the sidewalk. A vet exam later revealed chemical burns on Rex's nose and eyes. Minor but clear proof of harm. Jake declined to press charges immediately, telling Martinez, I want to see how far this goes. Karen thought she'd escaped. She didn't know Jake was building a case to end her world. 3 weeks later, Maria called with a game changer. Jake, sit down, she said. Karen's running a gentrification scam funded by the HOA. Over coffee, Maria laid out 18 months of financial fraud, and $15,000 to Rick for fake inspections, no licenses or registration. A neighborhood map showed Karen targeting high-value homes, harassing owners to sell cheap, then buying through shell companies. Red pins marked forced-out families, blue pins showed Karen's purchases. She'd used OA funds for fake inspections, manipulated rules to exempt allies, and gathered intel at meetings to target the vulnerable. Jake's chemical attack wasn't random. It was Karen's escalation when he wouldn't budge. Maria found $23,000 in embezzled HOA funds, including fake tree, trimming payments and inflated newsletter costs. Karen targeted veterans, knowing their limited resources. But Jake had Maria, a disability law expert, and a growing neighbor coalition. Federal housing discrimination carried 100,000 fines per violation. HOA embezzlement meant 5 years in prison, and her real estate license was at risk. Jake wasn't a victim anymore. He was the prosecutor. By Thursday, Jake's living room was a war room. Maria organized legal documents, Ashley handled outreach, and Gladys explained HOA rules. Rex anchored the group's energy. Maria planned 3 attacks: federal civil rights violations, a $150,000 penalties, personal liability, financial fraud, RICHO provisions, and a community recall to ask Karen's board. Jake played vulnerable while documenting everything. Maria contacted the FBI, and Agent Sarah Martinez saw a landmark case. The plan: 30 days to finalize evidence, coordinate with feds, and prepare for Karen's public downfall at the HOA meeting. Karen's desperation surfaced 3 weeks in. When Ashley mentioned neighborhood support for Jake, Karen's hairdresser leaked it. Karen claimed an HOA computer crash erased financial records, but Maria had bank records. Karen's fake Facebook accounts posted doctored photos of Rex, attacking kids, obvious Photoshop fails. Jake let her lies build his defamation case. Karen then offered JK $10,000 to leave, recorded as a confession of discrimination. Her allies distanced themselves, her husband threatened divorce, her daughter blocked her online. Karen's harassment escalated, stalking Jake, abusing animal control, researching his military records. Her flyers questioning his disability insulted 12 local veterans, sparking a rally in Jake's yard. Jake invited Channel 7 to film Rex's legitimate work, debunking Karen's fraud claims. The viral story pushed her case into hate crime territory. At Safeway, Karen grabbed Rex's vest, screaming about veteran handouts. An assault caught on camera. Her real estate license was suspended, and news outlets ran the story. The HOA meeting was a spectacle: 150 residents, news cameras, and federal agents. The audit revealed $23,000 in fraud, including Karen's family payments. Agent Martinez announced federal charges: housing discrimination, service animal assault, hate crimes. Karen's unhinged outburst, calling veterans freeloaders, sealed her fate. Jake's statement, read by Maria, detailed her campaign and its damage. Residents shared stories of her harassment. The vote to remove Karen was 127-0. Federal marshals arrested her mid-meeting. Her perp walk broadcast live. 6 months later, Karen pleaded guilty, receiving 18 months in prison, a $75,000 in fines, and a lifetime HOA ban. Her license was revoked, her marriage ended. Jake's $150,000 settlement funded Rex's fund, training service dogs for veterans. Pinewood Heights became an inclusion model, property values up 20%. Jake's YouTube channel, Service Dog Rights, hit 100,000 subscribers, inspiring 37 lawsuits in Colorado training law. At Community Heroes Day, Jake and Rex celebrated a transformed neighborhood. Karen's hatred built a stronger community. Key takeaway: HOA members are personally liable for discrimination. Federal laws protect all residents with six-figure penalties for violations. Next week, we expose an HOA president's $300,000 backyard scam. Share your HOA horror stories below, they could be featured. Subscribe to HOA Stories for more. True community strength protects the vulnerable, not targets them. Sometimes, the best revenge is building hope from hate.